Good morning, students. All of you are fine. So today, students, we are going to discuss and revise our first chapter of the chemistry. The name of the chapter is The Language of Chemistry. Children, you must be knowing now what is the main motive to learn about the language of chemistry. See, chemistry is a branch of science where we study about the matter and what is the matter made up of. Different theories have been proposed regarding matter, which help to discuss about the what is the real existence of the matter. So they have concluded that the matter is nothing but a complex relationship between the elements. Now, first of all, must be knowing what is an element. An element is a simple and the pure form of the matter which cannot be decomposed into simpler substances. And all the elements are made up of atoms, which is the smallest particle of the matter. And the number of the atoms present in a molecule, that is called its as atomicity. So here you can see also definition is given. The number of the atoms in a molecule in an element is called the atomicity. Now, on the basis of the number of the atoms, molecules can be classified into three types. First is monatomic, that is the element which are having only one atom in their molecules, like helium, neon, or other inert molecules. Diatomic, the elements which are having the two atoms in their molecules, like oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, etc. Next come the triatomic elements or molecules, elements which are having the three atoms, like ozone. The formula is O3. Then comes the tetraatomic, the elements having four atoms in their molecule, like phosphorus, P4. And the last is octatomic, elements having the 8 atoms in their molecule, like sulfur. Now see, we have already discussed in the 8th class that the atoms or molecules or different elements, they combine together and form the molecular compound. Like for example, we have discussed about the salts like sodium chloride, water, ammonia, etc. Now the name of these elements and compounds are abbreviated by using certain symbols and the formula. So we can say the tools of studying the elements and the compounds are their symbols and the formulas. Now first we will discuss that who have discovered the symbols first time. So children, the first time the theory of the symbols regarding their structure and all that, it was given by John Dalton, and he given the figurative symbols, means he just given the in the picture form. Like for example, you can see like such as circle for an oxygen atom, a circle with a dot in the center for the hydrogen atom. Then later on, Johann Berzelius, he suggested that the element could be named from its first letter written in the capital. So he given different criteria. For the most of the element, he just chosen the first letter. Like for oxygen, O he chosen. For hydrogen, H. And for carbon, C, and so on. But in some cases, the suggested symbol did not agree with the English name of the element. So what he did, like some elements whose first letter was similar, like calcium also began with C, copper also began with C. So what did he do? He taken along with the second letter or the third letter to give the symbol. For example, now copper is symbol is Cu. That Cu is taken from its Latin name, that is cuprum, and calcium symbol is Ca. So we can say he not only taken the symbols from the first letter or the second letter, he also named some elements from their Latin name. You can look in this table. So here their symbols are taken from their based of their Latin name. You have to learn this table. Like for example, gold symbol is Au, taken from the Latin name aurum. Mercury Latin name is hydrogenum, that is Hg symbol is taken. Similarly, copper cuprum. So and the temple is given here. You can learn the symbols from here. Already you have done in your lower classes also. Now next we are going to discuss about the definition of the symbol. What is symbol? Now symbol, it is the short form or shortcut of an element. You can see here definition is also given. It is the short form that stands for the atom of a specific element or abbreviation used for the name of the element. So in a simple language you can say it is the short form of an element to represent and one atom of the element. Now children, keep in this mind that no two elements can have same symbol. Every element have their own specific symbol. For example, like aluminium. Now aluminium symbol is Al. No other element is having this symbol. So we can say, like for example, in your book also it is given sulfur, an element is denoted by symbol S. Similarly, hydrogen is denoted by the symbol H. So that again they have told whenever the elements are having the similar name like carbon, cobalt, copper, calcium, cadmium, chromate and chlorine. These all elements first letter is C. So say here only carbon element is having the C symbol. Like for cobalt they have taken it first two letters, that is CO. For copper is denoted from the two letters, that is Cu, taken from the Latin name. And calcium it is Ca, cadmium it is Cd. So, and one thing also you have to keep in, whenever you are writing a symbol, its first letter is always small and the second letter is, first letter is capital and the second letter is small. But there are some things are different. Like for example, CO, that means an element cobalt. However, C capital O, that means a compound carbon monoxide. So we can say a symbol is not merely an abbreviation for the name of the element, but also it signifies something. Now what does the element symbol tells? First of all, it tells you name of that particular element. From the symbol you can identify which is this element, and moreover it also tell you about that it is having a one atom of that element. And the third thing which they are telling, that is telling about the definite mass of the element, that is the relative atomic mass, which is expressed in the grams. Like for example, they give you any symbol like O. Now they can ask you what does the symbol O stand for. First of all, it will tell you about the element is oxygen. Then secondly, it denotes that it is having an one atom of oxygen, and then it will also tell you that it is having a 16 gram of oxygen, which is measured with the 1/12 part of the C12 carbon atom in the atomic mass unit. Now the next definition which we are going to discuss is formula. Now what is formula? See, already we have discussed symbol is the shortcut of an element. Now the symbolic representation of the molecule is known as the formula or molecular formula. So we can also call it as a chemical formula also, because it employs the symbol to denote the molecules of an element or a compound. Like for example, O2. Now O2 is denoting a one molecule of oxygen having the two atoms of oxygen. In case of compound, like molecule of the different elements, you can say hydrogen. Similar way, it is also having the two atoms of hydrogen. So the now next topic which we are going to discuss is about the valency. Now what is valency? It is the measure of its combining capacity with other element. Now question comes in our mind, what is combining capacity? So children, you have already discussed in the lower class that every element show its electronic configuration. They are having some electron in their valence shell. So every element tends to get stable by getting a minimum of the 2 electron in their outermost shell or 8 electron in their outermost shell. So in order to get stable, either they lose the electron or either they gain the electron, or what they do the sharing of the electrons. So due to this, they combine with each other and form an compound. So that's why we can say valency is the measure of its combining power with the other element to attain the stability. So it can be measured in the terms of a hydrogen atom or oxygen atom. Now the modern definition is that the number of the electron that an atom can lose, gain or share during a chemical reaction, that is called as valency. Already we have discussed in the atomic structure also that the elements like metals, they are having 1, 2 or 3 electron in their outermost shell. So for them it is easy to lose the electron. So they lose that electron, and whenever they lose the electron they get a positive charge and form the cations. You can look here also, like here example is given. Sodium is losing 1 electron, forming Na positive, that is a univalent ion. Magnesium is losing the 2 electron, forming a divalent ion, and aluminium is losing 3 electron, forming a trivalent ion. So positive ions are known as cations. Similar manners, non-metals which are having 5, 6 or 7 electron in their outermost shell, they attain the stability by gaining the electron to complete their octet. For example, chlorine, it gain 1 electron to form a chlorine negative, that is the anion it will be forming, univalent ion. Oxygen, it will gain 2 electron to form O2 negative. Nitrogen will gain 3 electron to form N3 negative. So negative ions are known as anions. So what we can say now, what are these anions and cations? These are known as the radicals, which are having the positive and the negative charge. So valency is the combining capacity of an atom or of an radical. Now valency of element or of a radical is the number of the hydrogen atom that will combine with or displace one of the atom of the element or radical. For example, one atom of the chlorine that combines with one hydrogen atom, you can see H is combining with the one atom of the chlorine to form a molecule of hydrogen chloride. So here valency will be what? Valency of chlorine will be also 1, as well as valency of hydrogen will also be 1. Okay, now next topic is variable valency. Now certain elements exhibit more than one valency, that is they show variable valency. Now what do you mean by variable valency? Sometimes an atom or an element lose more electron that are present in its valence shell, that is they lose the electron from the penultimate shell. Now penultimate shell is what? The shell which is next to the valence shell. So therefore such an element is said to exhibit variable valency. For example, now if an element exhibit 2 different positive valencies, for example ferrous, we say iron, when it is exhibiting 2 positive valency, then we will write it as a ferrous. We will add the suffix OUS for the lower valency. And when the iron is showing the valency of 3 electrons, then we will add the suffix IC in it and it will form ferric. So that's why the elements show different variable valencies. Now next topic which we are going to discuss is radical. Already we have discussed what is a radical. It is an atom or a group of atoms of same or different element that behave like a single unit, but they are having a positive and a negative charge. Now radicals like chlorine, fluorine, sodium, which is having a charge, which are made up of only one kind of the atoms, they are known as simple radicals. You can see that type of the radicals are called as simple radicals. And radicals like hydroxyl, carbonate, sulfate, ammonia, which are made up of 2 or more kinds of atoms, they are known as the compound radicals, because they are having more than one elements. So these are basically two types of radicals. Now, for example, just we have one example, like an acid reacting with a base to form a salt and water. This is the neutralization reaction. Here we are taking particular example of the potassium is reacting with HCl. It will form potassium chloride and water. Now here in the formation of potassium chloride, the radical potassium has been contributed by the base potassium hydroxide, and therefore that radical is called as the basic radical because it is contributed by the base, while chlorine radical has been contributed by hydrochloric acid, which is an acid, so that is an acid radical. So always a compound is a combination of an acid as well as a basic radical. So whenever a salt is dissolved in water, it splits up into its consequent radicals. The basic radical are found having a positive charge, and the acidic radicals are having the negative charge. So we can call positive radicals as cations and negative radicals or electronegative radicals as the anions. Now you can look into this table. This table is very important. Children, you have to learn this table. So look into here. Here they have given some list of some electrovalent. First of all, here the positive radicals are given. Now which are having only one positive charge or single unit, they are called as monovalent. And which are having the two positive charge, they are known as divalent. Which are having three, they are known as trivalent. And which are having the four positive charge, they are known as tetravalent. So whenever you are forming the formula of any compound, you need to know their radical, their valency. From that we can come to know. Similar manner, down they have given the list of some common electrovalent negative ions according to their charge. So you have to learn this table, because if you are not knowing this table, you are not able to form the proper formulas. Now next step is how we can write the chemical formula. There are certain steps which you have to follow writing chemical formula. First of all, you can see here, write the symbol side by side. You can see here like we are writing symbols first. And basic radical, note down that always basic, like here in magnesium, this is a basic radical. This is always written first, and acidic radical is always written behind. Now after that, you write their valency of each atom on the top of the symbol. So we are writing their valency. You can see Mg is having 2 and chlorine is having 1 valence. So we are writing on the top. Divide the valency number by their highest common factor, that is here HCF if any, to get the simplest ratio. So you divide it, like here we are dividing, just we can say the charge of one is coming in the feet of the other. So after that we interchange the valency of the radicals and then write the interchange valency number to the lowest right of the radical. Like here we written this side of this and this of this side, and when we combine, the formula became MgCl2. So that is, you come to know that first of all we should be knowing their radicals proper way, then only you can frame the formulas. And here in your chapter, this list of the formulas are given. They can ask you the formula also sometimes, or sometimes they can give you the formula and they can ask its chemical name. So you have to learn this full table 1.7, that is very important. Now next, which we are discussing important topic in this chapter is what is chemical equation. Now chemical equation is the symbolic representation of actual chemical reaction that is occurring by using symbols and the formulas of the substance involved in a reaction. So like in the lab the chemical reaction is occurring, but you cannot tell to everyone to come and see your reaction. So if you want to tell to other people that this reaction have happened, so that you can tell in the form of an equation using the symbols and the formulas of the chemicals that you are using. So that equation is called as the chemical equation. Now two substances are taking part in an equation. The chemical equation tells us the substances that are involved at a given reaction means that take part in the reaction, that substances are called as reactants, which are reacting actually. Like here copper sulfate is reacting with sodium hydroxide. So copper sulfate and sodium hydroxide are known as the reactant, and always reactants are written on the left hand side. And the substances which are formed at the end of the reaction, they are known as the products. Like here, calcium hydroxide and sodium sulfate are formed, they are called as the products. Now, what does a chemical reaction may involve? It may involve one reactant or two or more products may form. It sometimes two reactants are there, only single product is formed. Or reactants are also two, products are also two. Or there can be chances that there are two reactants but products may be three or more than that. Now next come, what is Kelton equation? It is an equation that represents a chemical change, but it is unbalanced, means the number of the atoms are not same on the reactants and the product side. Like you can see here, one equation is given, potassium nitrate. In above chemical equation, the number of the oxygen atom on the reactant on the left hand side is not equal to the number of the oxygen atom. Here the number of oxygen atom are 4, here are number of the atoms are 3. So this is an Scalton system which is unbalanced. But balanced equation is what? This is an equation in which the total number of the atoms on each element in the reactant on the left hand side of the equation is same to the number of the atoms present on the product side. Like here you can see calcium carbonate, this is a decomposition reaction. Calcium carbonate is decomposing to form calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. In this reaction, the number of the atoms of calcium, carbon and oxygen are on the both sides are same. You can see here calcium 1 atom, here also 1. Carbon here 1 atom, here also 1. Oxygen here are 3, here also 3. 1 and 2 this 3. So in this equation, all the elements, number of the atoms on the reactant and product side are same. So this equation is called as the balanced equation. So basically, why should an equation be balanced? This is a very important question. Equation must be balanced in order to comply with the law of conservation of the matter. Now what is law of conservation of matter? That the matter can neither be created nor destroyed in the course of a chemical reaction. Now next step is balancing the equation. I think so all of you are familiar with the way to balance the equation. The very simple method which we are using, that is the hit and trial method. You have already done in your lower class also. Just I will explain one more example to you. Now let us discuss one more example of balancing the equation. Here you can see equation is given, copper is reacting with sulfuric acid to form copper sulfate, sulfur dioxide and water. So this is the Scalton's equation. So whenever you are writing to balance the equation, first write down the Scalton equation for that chemical reaction. Then write down number of the elements which are present in the reactant and the product side. So afterwards give the heading reaction side, product side. So here we are counting first the number of the elements of the copper. Both sides there are 1, hydrogen 2, sulfur on the reactant side is 1, on the product side it is 2. So and of the oxygen on the reactant side is 4 and the product side is 7. So copper and hydrogen are already balanced, they are equal on both sides. So to equalize the sulfur atom, we are multiplying it by 2. Next, to equalize the hydrogen atom, we are multiplying water by 2. So finally your equation becomes Cu plus 2 molecules of sulfuric acid reacting to form copper sulfate plus sulfur dioxide, and 2 molecules of the water are formed. So in this way you can balance the chemical reaction. So I hope this chapter is clear. So please practice the balancing equation, learn the radicals proper way and the symbols of the elements. Thank you. Have a nice day.